First half of this tutorial we're going to concentrate on the glass. Now we need to go to our shapes part of the create geometry palette, and then from there we're going to draw some lines. Now these lines are going to make up half the profile of the glass. So if we take the standard line command, and you can be very rough with this because we're going to go and modify the line to be a little smoother. And what we're going to do is just simply draw out some lines with single clicks to draw out the lines. And what we need to do is draw out the cross section, or half the cross section, and yes, we do want to close this spline, half the cross section of a glass. It looks fairly rough here, and what we need to do is go and modify this spline to give us nice rounded edges and so on. So we go over to the modify palette, and what we can see here is we have a line. If we pop down line, we can see we have a vertex. This means we can handle individual vertexes. We have segments, we can take on segments, and of course we have spline, which means we can manipulate the whole spline. Okay, there's a few ways that we can round off these corners, first of which is to use the vertex. What we can do with vertexes is we can tell them to be, by right clicking on a menu here, we can tell them to be more than what they are. Here we can see they're told to be corners, and what we can tell them to be is Bezier corners or Beziers or smooth. What we want them to be is Bezier corners. So what we get is these handles. From these handles we can actually bow the splines. We can do that to all the vertexes all the way around, or there's a modifier that we can use against a line. I believe it's called fillet chamfer. So we take up this particular modifier, we crank up a radius, and as we see the spline or the vertex that was selected, the radius is applying itself to that there. So there we can see we're actually getting a radius in that corner. So that's one way of doing it. There are others, so that would work well there, but up here it's probably not going to be that good an option. So let's do that again up there. And we just want to crank out that radius. So there you can see after a while it actually becomes too much to fit in there. So there are a few things we can do here. So I'm just going to delete both these fillets. I am going to apply the fillet in here though. It will work well in this inner corner. So I'm just going to crank that up until I've got something that I'm going to use. Okay, the next thing we can do is we could apply two individual fillets here, or we could make both these corners. Oops, look at that, I made a mistake. We could make both these corners here into Bezier corners, like so. Now what we need to do is to modify this inner edge here. So I just grab the handle for that Bezier, and I grab the handle for this one, and then I can manipulate the corner into the shape I need, like so. And I'd say we can do the same up here, and this will give us a little bit more height to it. So I'm just going to select both those and turn them both into Bezier corners. I then select the vertex I want to play with and manipulate the handle that I need to manipulate. So we can quite quickly make a nice cross section. Just let me delete that fillet again, and we'll just apply that fillet, reapply that fillet. Oops. And now we're done, and we can re-collapse the stack. We're done with it.